Hello guys, welcome back onto the channel. So it turns out I'm gonna have to dial back a bit on my ambitions for this series. Initially I had planned to do all of the races with the HUD completely turned off, but it turns out that it's not feasible in some of the cars, as I learned on Daily Race C of last week. So in Daily Race C of last week, you had to drive the Honda S2000 around Laguna Seca, and that car doesn't show what year you're on, and that's a problem. It's fine when you're driving by yourself, you're setting a qualifying lap time, you don't have a lot to pay attention to, but when you're in the heat of the race where you have to pay attention to your surroundings, to who's behind you, who's in front of you, all this sort of stuff, maybe tire wear, fuel consumption, all these things, they add together, and it turns out that having to keep track of your gears on top of all of that is a bit too much for me personally, so I'm gonna have to dial it a bit back. So starting with this video, I'm gonna have the HUD turned back on. I may turn it off in cars that have the gear indicator, and turn it back on cars that don't have it, like the Honda S2000. I'm gonna see how I'm gonna approach this, but for this race I have the HUD completely on, but throughout this entire series I'm gonna drive in the cockpit view. That's not gonna change. But anyways, back into the race. I'm driving the Porsche 911 RSR, which is a car I'm not very familiar with. I mean, I like the car, but I'm not very familiar with, and as you can see, it shows because I drove too wide there, and it's not gonna stop there because I'm gonna make another mistake here. I'm gonna go a bit too wide, deep two wheels in the AstroTurf, and fishtail a little bit. But then this guy comes and seals the deal. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about my position in the car. He just edges me out completely, and that was intentional. I have no question about that. So skipping ahead, because there wasn't much going on, I was just trying to catch up to the pack. And well, I just said that guy pulled a dirty move on me, and I'm gonna proceed to do a very questionable move here. Yeah, this could have been a lot worse. But at least I caught up to the guy who pushed me out wide. I wasn't having none of it, so I pushed him out wide. I know it's silly, but yeah, I was frustrated because of what he did back there, and then I just gave it back to him. And yeah, so that move that I pulled on the Mazda could have been a lot worse. I'm glad that it didn't affect him so much. I didn't have enough spatial awareness, but it was a move that wasn't on. So yeah, for these races, as I said in my previous video, I'm trying to raise my driver rating all the way back, at least to where it was in my other account. This is a different account. On my main account, the highest that I managed to get to was AS, A as in driver rating, S in sportsmanship rating, and I've never been able to, well, go past that. And these days I think my driver rating dropped down to B because I wasn't having any good races. But yeah, and of course it's been a while since I've played GT Sport regularly. I've noticed a few things that I'm gonna be commenting on later in the video, but yeah, there are a couple of stuff that have been bothering me in the game when you play with a DualShock. So this track is not my strong suit, to be honest, and as you can see, I'm gonna get on the gas too early there and drive off the track just enough to slow me down quite a bit and give the guy in front of me over a second. So yeah, that's not a good look on me for this race. So not much else happened, and that's pretty much the result. I finished in 5th place in this race, and as I said, this track is not my strong suit in any game, and I don't seem to be able to get my way around, to learn my way around it as quickly as I would have liked. So yeah, unfortunately, that's the result. But I'm pleased given that it's been a while since I played this game, so I can't complain too much about finishing in 5th. That's a decent enough finishing position. Now, moving on to the second race of the video, this time around I'm driving the Lamborghini Huracan GT3, which is a car that I'm definitely not good at. And it's a car that's very infamous for being very difficult to drive. I don't know, to be honest, I don't really understand why it has this fame, why people find it so difficult to drive, and I didn't have a good idea of how difficult it is because it's been a while since I've played the game, so I still don't know which cars are good and which cars are bad these days. A lot has changed with especially with the BOP changes that they do with every single update, so it's a bit difficult to keep track if you're not constantly playing the game. One thing that I did notice about this Lamborghini Huracan is that it has a tendency to lose the rear end fairly easily. As you can see, the Audi R8 has the exact same behavior, and it hasn't changed much. I remember that this Audi R8 has been very difficult to drive since the closed beta days, and yeah. So I just about managed to avoid contact with the Subaru in front of me. He braked a little bit too early, or maybe I braked a little bit too late. And as you can see, my track knowledge is gonna be very consistent across all of my runs because I'm gonna mess up on the exact same spot as I did in the Porsche 911. So yeah, that's not a good sign. So one thing that I noticed in the game after not playing it for a few months is how the handling has changed when playing with the DualShock 4. I remember that back in the closed beta days, I praised the game because it was the very first Gran Turismo game where I felt it was accessible to controller players rather than just wheel users. But it turns out that it feels like Polyphony Digital might have messed up with the handling a little bit too much, and these days it's a bit difficult to keep up with players playing on the wheel. And I know that a lot of that has to do with the fact that I haven't played the game in a while, but I can definitely tell there's a clear difference between how the game handles these days and how it used to handle back in the closed beta days. I don't know why they changed it so much, but it's back to favoring wheel users, that's for sure. The Beetle nearly spins out. He just about manages to keep his car under control. I take a wider line to allow him at least some space so I wouldn't squeeze him against the guardrail, but he doesn't give me the same courtesy. As you can see, around this very next corner, he's gonna edge me out ever so casually. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but yeah, I wasn't very pleased with that, but I don't think it was enough to grant a full-on ramming on my part like I did with that BMW on the previous race. So that's fine. It wasn't that bad that he messed me up as much as it did on the previous race. And it's not gonna be a huge problem because I'm gonna be able to overtake this guy on this next corner. It was a nice move. I mean, we made contact, but he didn't leave me enough space, as much at least as I did on that corner, so I'm not too sorry about that. Now, this next corner is gonna be full of events. So first thing that happens, the Audi R8 spins out because he made contact with the Mitsubishi in front of him, and this Subaru nearly loses the rear end. I'm gonna take around the outside, see if we can pull it off. We pulled it off, but we didn't take the position because the guy in Subaru was quicker around that corner. I don't know why he turned his signals on his car, but maybe it was a thank you, I don't know. Again, I'm gonna take a wider line here because I know he's on the inside. I don't want to squeeze him out. It was completely clean. He didn't mess me up either, so I'm happy with that. And I feel I'm performing a lot worse in the Huracan when compared to the Porsche 911. I don't think that this car is for me given my skill level in this game, which is not great. But as you can see, I'm gonna mess up really bad. So over the section I did 2 wheels off the track, and that's enough to send my car into a spin. And it's not gonna end there, because apparently I wasn't happy with just one spin, and I'm gonna proceed to spin a second time over this next corner. I'm gonna lunge really bad. That was a bad move. I'm not even gonna argue over that. It wasn't on, and I tried to go for it, so I think it was this, in this case I think it was deserved that my car spun out, and well, that was game over for me. I was on the very last lap of the race, towards the end of the lap, and I'm back down to 12th place. Not much I can do to salvage a few positions, so yeah. Now, for this next and last race of the video, I'm back in the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3. I managed to set a 158, a high 158, which is pretty good to me. I know there are a lot of people that managed to set lap times at least two seconds quicker than I did, but I'm pretty happy with this result because, again, this is not a track that I'm very strong at, but at the very least I'm very familiar with the Mercedes GT3. It's a car that I've driven a lot, not in this account, of course, on my other account, but yeah, I'm very familiar with this car. I very much like how the car handles, and it shows because I managed to set a time that put me in pole position right from the get-go, which is not something that I usually manage to accomplish in this game. I find this game to be very difficult to be good at. It takes a lot of time and dedication, and I don't think it's competitive on a level that's pleasing to me on a controller. There's a certain ceiling, and I know there are some of the quickest players play with the controller, but you're talking about the 1% of the 1% in this game, and I'm definitely not part of that group. So I'm not judging myself basing on these guys. These guys are on a whole other level. So yeah, this Gran Turismo Sport, in short, has become a game that if you want to be really good and competitive and consistent in this game, you need a wheel. There's no way around that. There are ways that you can be competitive and consistent with the controller, but they're gonna hit a ceiling that you're not gonna be able to go past that unless you get a wheel. So not much happens in this race. I lead pretty much from the get-go. Nobody even comes close to me, and I believe that it has something to do with the fact that there are all of the people behind me are fighting for position, where I'm driving in clean air, not having much to worry about. So that's gonna be a very easy first place finish. That's actually my very first win in this account, so I'm happy with that, and I'm happy that I did it in a car that I'm familiar with. But yeah, so that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're gonna follow this series where I try to go from the lowest rating to the highest rating. Let's see if I manage to pull it off. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more GT Sport content, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye.